One day, I walked out of my castle, and something was different. I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was. I walked all around and made all my normal errands. Just, everything felt a bit off. Oh. Welcome back to BetaWorld, the series where we travel through Minecraft's history to obtain discontinued features and grow our ever-expanding survival world. This is Minecraft infdev 2010-327, and what makes this version notable is it is the first version of infdev that has proper level saving. However, it worked very different as it did in indev. So I'm going to create a new world and then break down how saving works. Okay, here we are. It looks about the same as it did in the previous versions of infdev we looked at last episode. So I'm going to walk around for a little bit and load some chunks like before. It's auto-saving the chunks that I'm writing to disk. I can actually check this disk in my files. Okay, so we're going to create a new world now in the same slot. It's going to be a different world. And I'm going to show you what that spawn XYZ thing was about and why it's now actually matters. If you remember from indev, that is the spot where you spawned in the indev house. Like, for example, I spawned in right here in this world. If this was indev, the indev house will be right there. But in this version, brand new, if I die now, I'll just drown, because it's fun. There's a new button. I can either go back to the title, or I can respawn. So let's try respawning and see what that does. Oh, I'm back at wherever spawn happened to be. And this works with other type of damage, so I'm going to try and die from fall damage and I'll show you. Plus, there's something else of note for dying of non-drowning forms of damage. Okay, so I died in this spot. If I respawn and then I walk back over to where I died, you're going to see something very, very interesting will be there where I died. I'm still exactly where I died. That's me, since I'm Steve right now. It's a buggy entity, but that's me. Yeah, and I can like push him around into blocks too. Anyway, that's enough of this temporary world. I think it's about time to load BetaWorld in this version. Except that's kind of an issue since BetaWorld uses a completely different file format as this one. So, what are we going to do? Well, thankfully, some people have created some third-party programs that allow you to convert an indev world to infdev. And I believe a mix of them does the best. So I'm going to show you how I do it, and then we're going to play BetaWorld again. But this time with infinite terrain. Okay, so I've got a copy of the main BetaWorld save. And I'm going to drag it onto this infdev converter app that I've left a download link to in the description. So I'm going to put it over, and then it's going to open up a little pop-up. You can see some of it. And then it's going to save a version of it as a file in the same directory. So now I can take this file and put it into my Minecraft save directory, and then I'll be able to load it. However, this converter has some issues. Me to do some extra steps. Basically, this version preserves data, which is not good, because in some early indev versions, every block in the world gets assigned a random data value, which, in a simplified way, will cause some issues later down the line. So I'm going to show you a way to get rid of all the data values, but also some other things. But first, we have to load this world up in Minecraft infdev. If your world doesn't load properly and the game just crashes, I would recommend going into a later, more stable version of Minecraft infdev, loading the world there, and then downgrading back to here, which is what I've done. So we're going to open up my BetaWorld and inspect the conversion job it's done. As you can see, there are these like sheer borders on where the indev terrain stops and the infdev terrain starts, which allows me to, get all the things. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk all around, generate all the border chunks of world, and then I'm going to open up another tool. So I'll show you when I open up that one. Now I've opened up our second fan-made tool. This is MC Edit, a tool mainly used for making large-scale builds in, very, very obviously cheated worlds. But its original intent was actually to convert indev worlds to infdev. Now, it doesn't preserve any inventories or entities, but it doesn't preserve data either, which is why we like it. So, we're going to load a world. So, this is the world, as you can see. You can see blocks, castle, and this is where I spawned in originally when I loaded the world for the first time in infdev. You can also see where my player is right now. He's right here. So I can fly around very fast and look at everything in the world. That's all fine and dandy, but these worlds over here, this infdev world, the blocks have data, and we don't like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to select down from this bottom corner over here. And it doesn't matter for precise, because there's a button for that. If I come all the way over here to this corner, I go like up here, and then I can press chunk control, and it's going to align to the 16 by 16 by 16 chunks in here. It's a little messed up. I'm gonna have to go in and fix it. Now, if we do chunk control, it'll snap the chunks that we want. Yeah. So this is every chunk from Minecraft infdev that we imported in. And so now we're going to delete them. All these chunks are gone. I just deleted BetaWorld. But don't worry, we're going to bring it back. So we're going to go over here into import. And then I'm able to, you can't see this, but I'm going into my files and taking out the BetaWorld level, opening up, and now we're going to place it down, right? So I've got BetaWorld here. We're going to try to align it, but I can always fix it later. Okay, I've placed it down about where I like it. We're going to make sure it's chunk aligned so it doesn't look bad. And now we're going to go in and inspect if it overlaps with anything I don't like. So like, okay, this edge looks good. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the nudge button. And then we're going to go hold down the nudge, and then we're going to go up a couple blocks. Okay, so now we're going to press enter to save that. Control S to save that. And it's going to make it Minecraft ready. And then we're going to load it up in infdev and check how my work did. Oof. I was very wrong with the sea level. This world is a lot lower than I wanted it to be. So I'm going to have to go through that process again. Okay, now that I fixed the water level, we can look at what else is interesting in this version. So, the first thing I'd like to show you has to do with dying. So we can use my designated BetaWorld death spots once again. Okay, we're going to climb up here. I'm going to die. Now I'm going to mash the respawn button. Whoa! Remember these guys? They're back. Not only do anything, but I can keep them in the world. And they can just, like, exist here for as long as they need to. So the Steve exhibit's done, and I'll leave it over there until he despawns. But the next glitch of this version I'll to show you has to do with crops over here. And technically every block, but it's most useful for crops. So as you can see, I have some fully grown crops over here. I'll break them, and I'm going to get some seeds back. In this version, there's a glitch called preserved data value transmutation, where the data value of a block does not get reset when breaking the block. So when I let those crops grow to full, and then I broke them, the air that was where they were did not get reset back to data value 0. And when I placed the new crops in, they didn't get reset either. So they remain at data value 7, which is fully grown. Now, there are some ways to exploit this and get some data values and blocks that we were never intended to get. But I'm going to wait until day to show you that one, because it's getting kind of dark. What if I told you the best way for getting data values and blocks you're not supposed to get them on is actually the humble flint and steel? Yeah, it's true. When you first place fire down with a flint and steel, it sets this block to 5. But I already used it to speed up the growth of that wheat. So this block is now data value number 8. But hold on, that's one data value past how it's supposed to be on a wheat. So if I throw this, whoa, that's kind of weird. I'll explain that in a second, but I'm going to get data value 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 down this line as well. Oh, and I forgot to mention, each time you relight the flipped state on a block, it increments the data value by 1. So let me get the spread, and I'll get back to you. Here it is. Every overgrown stage of wheat. Now, most of these are these purple, but there's also these 2 weird wooden textures. Let me explain what's going on. As you know, each stage of growth has a different texture associated with it. So like there's that one, and then there's this number 5, right? Each one has a different texture in Minecraft's texture files that's used to display it. And it's told in the code to go to a certain location in the texture atlas, and then go 1 for each data value it increments. Except there's a bunch of blank spaces, which is the exact color of this past the point of reference, which is number 7, that's the maximum. So number 8 will be blank, number 9 will be blank, number 10 will be blank. But after number 10, the next slot in the texture atlas are these unused chair and table textures that were added into the game by Notch as an experiment. And then past that, there's a bunch of blank textures. As more textures get added into the game, they'll be filled, and they might possibly appear on these overgrown wheats. So I'm going to box them in and see what happens to them over time. Now, there's another block I'll be doing this on as well, but I'm not going to show it because it's some spoilers for the future. So I'll finish up that, and then there's a couple more things I want to show you. Here's a neat duplication bug in this version. So take the contents of this chest. The first step is I'm going to place a block in the same chunk as the chest to save it. Alright, this tells the game to save this chunk to the disk of my computer. Now, I'm going to take some items out. The sulfur out, we'll take the feathers out, and we'll take this string out. Basic mob drops. And now we're going to walk away so this chunk unloads. I'll cheat by using my render distance to make it unload faster. And then we're going to come back, and then something interesting will happen. Okay, now that we've unloaded the chunk and then reloaded it, we're going to go back over to where it is. Walk up to the chest, save and quit, come back in. Everything we took out is still in the chest, and it's been effectively duplicated. And I can do this as many times as I want to. Walk away, lower my render distance, bring it back up, come back, save and quit, and the items will be back in the chest. I'll just put them back in for now. So if I take this big dirt platform like this, right? Big dirt platform, and I quit the game and enter back in, you'll see a load of trees just spawn in on the platform. That is because chunks that are unloaded and then reloaded via loading a world are not properly flagged to be that they're populated. And to populate a chunk means to have stuff like ores and trees generate in the chunk. So basically the chunk doesn't know that it already has trees and ores in it, so it tells the game to put new ones in. And I can do this forever to get infinite wood and infinite ores. Not going to, though. Oh, and this is just me trying to clear out the trees for my test phase. I've edited my player position in a new world to around 12 million blocks out to show you a cool glitch that happens. You may already know about it since it's well known, but let's load up this world and see exactly what happens. It's taking a while to load. Do you know about this? These are the Farlands. They're created by some generator variables overflowing. I'll leave a link in the description to a much better video to explain them. But this is the first version where they generate in their iconic shape. Infinitely long. But anyway, that's all about I got time for this episode. I hope you enjoyed. And if you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing. Helps out a bunch. But until next episode, bye-bye.